Everybody wants heaven, but they're living like hell. Got the whole church judging you, hoping that you fail. How you gonna win the world if nobody wanna help? But it ain't easy trying to fight the devil yourself.
We got the group back together.
About to fall, and you just need a friend.
It's been 10 years since we've last seen some of LA's most dynamic pastors, preachers, and speakers of the word. Well, I think 10 years has been long enough. I am Kim Whitley, and I'll be your host for this much anticipated and, might I add, long overdue reunion. It is good to see you, bishops and pastors, and we missing. Where's that? Yeah, we missing that Bishop McClendon. You know,
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he always busy, ain't he? Yeah, I'm sure he is just, some things don't ever change. I'm sure he is very busy, and we bless you, sir.
Right.
But I wanted to see you here.
The brotherhood is here. Miss Kim, good to
yes,
meet you.
Now, good to meet you.
Looking beautiful as ever.
You really
Thank
is.
I love your look. I love that you don't look like a traditional pastor. You come with your own style.
Oh, no, I'm not traditional.
No,
I'm foundational, though.
That's good.
Okay, but do you consider yourself the bad boy of the gospel?
No, I'm probably the nicest one out of all this group right here.
What, just
Nice.
two?
Listen, you have many nice bad boys.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
In fact, some of the baddest boys
seen
in the
the
world
show. Why would I
be a
are
bad
nice.
You were arguing with him at the dinner.
That was McClendon. He was
No,
arguing
no,
with.
Fuss.
No, he was.
He like
He's
to fuss all
arguing
the
He
time.
was at dinner.
what,
you remember
when he and Dominique,
Boom. Yeah.
when they were shacking.
See,
No.
here we go.
Right, that
Okay,
part, that's
we're
what
gonna
we was
get to
arguing about when you guys
And I
were
was
arguing.
trying to tell him back then.
He said shacking is not in the Bible.
No, shacking is not the issue. You want to deal with the issue. The fornication is the issue, not the shacking. Because the shacking was really the overlay for the
Oh, you didn't
underplay. That's
answer
what
the
you really
question.
wanted to
You
know.
went over
And I would have told you, yes, I've had sex. You've had sex. We all had sex. At the time, I was struggling in that area.
He's a young man.
And I had a baby to show for it on the show.
Yes, I
And
saw
so,
the child.
since then, I've married my beautiful wife. Now we've just celebrated 10 years.
Fantastic.
Let's talk about that. All the wonderful things that has taken place within the 10 years.
That's right.
The issue was really the sex issue. But see, when he mentioned that on the show, that thing followed me for the last 10 years. You shacking? Dietrich hadn't said shacking is okay. I never said shacking was okay.
Okay, I'm
That
listening.
came from him.
But,
He brought that up.
but now you're being contradictory.
No.
That's what I thought.
Because you're making a point that you can shack and still not sin. How many of us, and he's been divorced, I have been divorced,
Okay.
I've been divorced.
You've been in divorce.
and you've been divorced.
I've never been married. Okay, cool.
And my marriage is still in force.
I never thought in my life that I could be in bed with a woman and never want to touch her.
Ooh, because it was fire in your bosom.
No.
Nope.
It's because the
You don't want to
relationship.
touch
You don't want to
Well,
touch
then
it.
they don't have the discipline.
It ain't fire in the bosom.
No fire.
The relationship had deteriorated to the point that even in a
You
marriage,
talking about his wife, first wife.
even
Yes.
in a marriage,
You
you
didn't
didn't
wanna-
want to go to bed.
Right.
Got it.
You understand me?
there.
A long-standing beef we saw on Preachers of LA, but also something we will see on this new Preachers Wedding Edition. Oh, it is airing on Merge TV. So now, when it comes to love and marriage, though, Bishop Ron Gibson had a lot to say. Oh, when it came to Bishop Noel Jones, he seemed to have a slow walk to the altar, and you had a lot to say about it.
Bishop Jones, why haven't you committed to Loretta and asked her to marry you? He says, I was married.
Yes.
And I'm messed up in my mind. I'm conflicted about this. Why can't I hear Bishop tell it?
Why were you on him so hard?
Well, Kim, that's a good question, okay? And I have a good answer. And a good answer is a God answer. I'm not just talking about an answer. Bishop Noel Jones is an icon. I know he talks about the iconoclastic and all those big words, that you shouldn't put a preacher on a pedestal and make him so iconoclastic. Remember that? But he's articulate like that. But when you are a preacher, a general in the faith, like Bishop Noel Jones is, then you have a lot of young men that are watching him. He's mentoring a lot of young men. So it came to my mind, since he has so many young men gravitating to him and want to be like him, be a mentor and not a tormentor. Tormenting them in the sense of making them think it's okay to date a queen like Loretta, who he was dating. One of the most beautiful ladies outside of my wife in the world today, okay? And it didn't look good, especially after he revealed that he was dating her for 14 years. The Bible says, not Ron Gibson, not Dietrich Haddon, not Wayne Chaney, not Bishop Noel Jones. The Bible says that don't let your good be evil spoken of.
That's totally out of context, that one. That scripture doesn't apply to anything you just said.
Okay, well, let's go to this then. How can a man take fire in his bosom and not get burned? How can you have a beautiful lady like that?
But they were friends. What my understanding, and I've been knowing them.
No, they were more than friends because Loretta said on the show, if you recall, she wanted to marry Bishop Jones.
After she said she didn't want to.
Oh,
But then she recanted and said, I do
So she
want to
recanted.
marry. And so when you're in a relationship like that, it just doesn't look good for young men that are aspiring to be ministers like Bishop Jones.
right. But why did it bother you so much? You were passionate about this because I'm gonna be honest with you. If this man ain't ready to marry me, I don't want him to marry me because we're gonna have more than fire in my bosom. I'm gonna have fire on the stove.
That's a good point, Kim.
See, one of the things that Ron has not accounted for in a relationship with Loretta is that Loretta is a very independent, very strong woman. I didn't want a quiet, passive woman who I could control.
Ooh.
Yeah, well,
I
come on
wanted
with
a
it.
woman. I wanted a woman who was equal.
Never came up as what the point he made. We didn't know that then. I don't think
Right.
the world knew it, that he had proposed before.
That's true.
That's
We didn't know
news.
that. You're exactly right.
And heard no.
And I think the only person that I'm tormenting
Yes, thank
is
you.
Ron
Now,
Gibson.
So you were tormenting Loretta.
Now, did Bishop
No,
Ron,
no,
You were
not at
tormenting
all.
Loretta, Sister
Not
Loretta.
at all.
Bishop, was his constant reminder that you have not gotten married or when you're gonna get married, did that get on your nerves?
It didn't bother me one bit at all.
Really?
Oh, no. And I'm telling you why. Because when you have a certain amount of security about who you are, and then when you understand the person who everybody's talking about in relationship to you getting married to her, when you understand those dynamics, then you're not moved by it. I'm only moved by a sincere word from her. But she can't propose to me. I have to propose to her.
Facts.
Amen.
And that's the whole point. And she can't rush the process, or she
Russian,
can't
14
or
years?
she can't slow the
Are
process.
you talking about a
down.
nationality or a reality?
You
Russian
see it?
or rushing?
See,
As a single pastor, for someone who waited 14 years and
Yes, sir.
someone who, again, said he should have done it the moment that she signified the intention,
I didn't say that.
how long should a pastor wait?
It depends. It's collecting data. You got to wait as long as you
Because I
can
want
be-
to know how long
Can
is
I
too
answer
long.
that very
I just wanna make sure.
succinctly? Dating is a derivative from the word data, where you get information. When you date a person, they don't show you their character, they show you their personality.
it took me 14 years to collect data.
Oh,
That's all that
man.
was, okay.
Oh, Lord.
By his own definition.
Lord, help
as long
today.
as it took.
Do you know where fornicators go?
Do you have
Kim.
something personal with Loretta?
I think under the
Thank you.
surface,
Thank you
he
for helping.
admires Loretta.
That's not under the surface. I do.
he
I
admires-
admire, but I don't desire.
But
I have a
notice
beautiful
now,
wife myself.
Notice this. There is no admire without some modicum of desire. There is no admire
Yes, sir.
without a modicum
Okay.
of
What's this
desire.
Pull up out of this one, Doc.
What is
Let me bring
modicum?
this.
Can you jump in, please?
Sister, I got a
You
class.
figure it out.
Pastor, can
just-
you jump
this-
in?
What they putting this?
I need to hear your
There
thoughts.
is-
'cause you
Ron
do
need
a
to
lot.
know,
Desire. in
Bishop
admire.
Ron Gibson need to know that marriage is not the solution to everybody's lust problem.
I never said that is.
But you're
If
saying,
you're gonna be with
you're
the woman
saying that
and you are a
marriage,
preacher, it's better to marry than to burn.
Yeah, but we've used that to get these young people
and it's
in
better to
marriages.
camouflage.
And when they get in
I need to hear
it,
Dietrich.
it's a mess.
That's true, Dietrich.
And so that's why the divorce rate is at an all-time high within the church because of that kind of teaching.
It's better to camouflage.
I'm a victim of that.
When Bishop got married, they were wailing and crying. I'm sorry, they were. There were some women were wailing and crying. And I didn't understand why I could not sit in the front row. Now, I didn't know that pastors and bishops went through this, but women would sit in the front row.
Yeah.
I might not say what I heard.
Yeah, open their legs
I'd have panties on in the house of the Lord.
while I'm preaching.
Coming up on Preachers Reunion.
I lose my career. I lose my life.
When Bishop got married, they were wailing and crying. I'm sorry, they were. There were some women were wailing and crying. And I didn't understand why I could not sit in the front row. Now, I didn't know that pastors and bishops went through this, but women would sit in the front row.
Yeah.
I might not say what I heard.
Yeah, open their legs
I'd have panties on in the house of the Lord
while I'm preaching.
while he's preaching.
Yeah.
In the front row. And now I didn't understand the security and all this, but I saw it, what you all go through with my own eyes, that the devil is busy and they're gonna come at you at all angles. So you have to be a strong man or a strong preacher because it's difficult for your congregation to understand what's going on unless they're in your circle. So a lot is going on that you all probably don't even know. So when I say what he went through or whatever he's gone through and all the women and all that, for all of you.
Data goes both ways, right? It's not only a potential mate, but it's introspective data to calculate, how much damage there was from the previous situation. Financial implications, right? Trust breached. These are all things that have to be navigated. Sometimes, again, there are great candidates there, but the reality is, there's got to be some introspection. And I don't know that we can put a timeline on that.
Well, wait, hold up. This sounds like something personal. No,
You're not going to make it personal.
Well, but I mean, obviously you've gone through some things
sure.
and you can share with us.
Sure.
Are you collecting data and the things that you've gone through? You're divorced now. Do you feel like maybe your spirit or is damaged somewhat and you need time to repair it?
Well, the beauty is it's been almost a couple years. It feels fresh to many people, but there's been significant time. So I feel healthy with regard to that, but there's no experience we have that doesn't change our lens, the lens we see the world with. And so my prescription is definitely updated. There are certain things you didn't see at 20 that you see at 44. And it makes you process a little bit more. You evaluate things from a financial standpoint.
Processing finances.
You evaluate small idiosyncrasies that you don't have the time on this end to discover 15 years from now.
Right.
So I believe process is significant. And I was actually looking to glean some wisdom from these two gentlemen as relates to that. But what I do know is this time around, I'm not selecting anyone for the church.
One.
Or for the broader community.
That's definite.
It has to be for me. It
So
has to be for me.
yes. Are you dating? Are you single? What's going on? Are there women sitting in the front row that need a thing put over their legs? What's
We haven't had to throw any lap scarves recently.
So the women are being...
But, after processing for a while and, I think processing well, I'm definitely open to new experiences. Yeah.
Are you open for reconciliation?
No. What is reconciliation?
Like if you had a gentleman like Bishop Jones, Dietrich, myself to counsel you as a support system to perhaps reconcile?
To
reconcile with your first wife?
No.
Okay, you've been divorced. Do you have any advice for Pastor Cheney?
I think he that findeth the wife findeth a good thing and obtains favor with the Lord. It's a man's decision to get into a marriage, and it's that same man's decision to exit the marriage. And God gives him that authority to make that decision based on what he's experiencing in the marriage. And you can't control individuals in the marriage. You can't control a human being, how they think, how they feel, what they decide to do. If a woman decides to make a move, what can you do about that? So we got to be careful about this blanket communication that makes people feel that have had to get out of marriages for millions of different reasons. They've had to get out of it.
For instance?
For their own sanity.
For instance, what reason?
I had to get out of my marriage for my own
as
sanity.
germane to him.
No, what I'd like to say, I think
It
it's
was his
important.
decision he found her. He made a decision to get into it for whatever reason without getting into his personal business. Right. He had to make an executive decision between the two to part ways. Right. And all three of us here have had to do that. You've been the only one that's been blessed in that area. But it doesn't make you better than any of us.
I didn't say that, did I?
I just want to make it clear. Or anybody that had to make that decision. If I listen to religious thinking, it'll have me locked into something and be miserable, never to have my family, never would have seen the other side of my life. So I really don't, I don't pay attention to a lot of that. I hear it going one ear and out the other. I'm living my truth. Wayne is living his truth. Bishop has lived his truth. It's 14 years and now he's married, happily married.
What am I living?
You living your truth.
Oh,
You've been married to
and you're happy,
Levette.
and you
That's
love your
you.
wife.
It has nothing to do with happiness.
But that's you.
Life is not a
That's you,
flowery bed
Ron.
of ease. You're going to have some mountains and some valleys in marriage.
Oh,
Okay?
yes, we do know
You got
that.
two different
Absolutely.
people
Are you happy?
coming
Are you not
together.
happy now?
And that takes
Are you happy?
Am I happy?
Yes, are you happy?
Sometimes I am. Sometimes I feel like a nut. Sometimes I don't. You figure that part out.
There's a difference between being above the radar and under the radar. We deal with so many people in our churches who have divorces, whose marriages break down, but they are under the radar. His position in relationship to me was so many people are iconoclastic in their view of an individual like me, which means then that I have to have a standard and I have to exemplify behavior that is equivalent to how they view me or how they want to follow me. Now, what everybody should understand is we get that. We know that. So the question that people like Ron should ask is, what in the world was going on in the house of an individual who knows how he's going to be viewed, who knows the pain that he's going to have to deal with, who knows how he's going to be judged by the majority of the people who's looking at him. What in the hell is going on in his house that in spite of all that he has to face, he decides with his children, with his grandchildren, with grandparents, with the congregation, with the other pastors, if he moves to divorce, they need to say something horrific has to be happening in that household
My God.
for him to make that decision.
And
Then
I
secondly, the issue of how long it took me to marry. How long it took me to marry was contingent also upon the fact that I had to reconcile in my mind that it was all right to marry again while my former wife was still living.
Wow.
So when you put all of the pressures
That's deep.
that we have to deal with when we move into a situation where we're saying, this ain't gonna work, and I lose my career, I lose my life, I lose whatever I have gained, but I can't stay here. And nobody seems to understand that we have calculated down to the last minute.
We've all taken that in. I've taken that in. The things, and the people at home watching, I'm sure have taken that in. Because like I said before, we have no idea how you all live your lives. That was powerful, and I thank you for that, Bishop. Thank you for being vulnerable. I received that, and right now, this is a good time to bring out the wives. Let's welcome First Lady Loretta Jones and First Lady Lavette Gibson. We missing somebody. Where's my girl? Dominique? Yeah. She was good on the show. Where is she?
The show, but you know, Dominique is, she's misses her mother. And this represents her mother. We found, she had a heart attack. And Dominique found her and the kids found her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and she was having some issues with her heart, but we didn't know it was to that extent, you know. She sends her love to all the ladies. And I represent her.
And a big shout out to Dominique. You are missed. You are missed, Dominique. Well, I mean, you're close to McClendon and Dietrich. Like, how is that being in the middle of this ongoing beef?
Well, you understand the idiosyncratic differences between them. And when you adjudicate, you don't take sides.
You got to pick a side, Bishop.
No, we don't. You don't take sides. See, one of the things is when he's right, he's right. When Mac is right, he's right.
He's never right. He's never right. A man standing over a man and talking down to him is never right.
No.
I'm a Detroit
wrong.
guy.
He was wrong at that point.
He was wrong. There we go. That's what I'm looking for.
At that point, he was wrong.
Did you tell him he was wrong, Bishop?
Oh, yeah, he was wrong
My
at that point. But when he's wrong, he's wrong. But you've been wrong, too.
Not in that matter.
Not in that matter, no, definitely not. But
I find no fault in
She said ongoing beef. But I don't think it's ongoing.
It's not ongoing?
Oh, no.
I think he has an ongoing beef with me.
No, it's not the McCoys and who are the other people? It's nothing like that.
No.
Well, the issue started because of an entourage, right? You were...
No, he stood up and said, son.
No, she said when it started.
The whole discussion was about the honorary and the entourage.
It started over the entourage.
Well, I mean, how did
over the honorary? Where the entourage, yes.
I still believe that
the entourage was predicated, the honorarium was predicated on the entourage.
Boom.
So because he's got a big entourage, that means big honorarium.
And you had a problem with the entourage of honorarium.
It didn't come without having his entourage and without a certain amount of money. Doc, when you didn't have anybody there, God called you. You was willing to go.
Yeah, but he should be here to defend
You was going for chicken dinners, preaching everywhere. When you're trying to get your name out there, now your name in lights, now you got to have an entourage.
The people's needs are different. For instance, my wife may need a makeup person with her. Then she needs a security person with her. With all the things she's been through, she needs a security person with her.
No, let's get to it. First Lady Loretta, you came in with a large entourage.
It's my staff.
It's your staff entourage?
Yeah, they work for me.
And then you gotta have somebody take care of my dogs. And you gotta have somebody take care of
the makeup, the clothes, and then someone to take care of.
But Loretta's a beautiful, classy lady who needs that. Does he need that? Is he a beautiful, classy lady or a man?
But Mac is a handsome man who needs that.
Oh, is he?
I'm about to scream right now. Well, he got a point there.
Mac got his
that
thing
is true.
together.
He got his thing too.
Okay,
You know.
all right.
So
You
do
know,
we
that's
have
what
a
you
problem?
need.
No.
That's what you need.
Do we have a problem with the First Lady having an entourage?
Coming up on Preacher's Reunion.
When Jesus was getting ready to leave the Garden of Gethsemane,
Yes,
he says, Peter, do you have your swords with you?
yes,
Peter said, I have 2 of them.
yes.
Jesus said, that's enough. Let's roll, big homie. And it's in Luke 22:38 to let you know you can carry a 22 and a 38.
So why
But I
was
just carry a 9, though.
Do we have a problem with the First Lady having an entourage?
See, what's happening when we're here, I had to wait for 2 hours. We were working. We're working on other projects. I just can't sit with idle time. We have to work.
So everybody was working?
Yes,
The
it
entourage
was working. We were emailing and calling people back, putting things in place because we're opening a new church. And so we need to be available.
Okay. How you feel about that?
I think it's wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Dietrich.
Dietrich, do you have an entourage?
He
A staff, I'm sorry.
I have a staff.
You have staff.
They don't travel with me, but I don't need makeup and all the stuff. I don't.
And then we have the puppies, and then have to have a sitter with them.
No, but I'll be honest. Let's just be honest. People looking at this feel a certain way. When
Well,
they
they
say,
can feel
well, the
how
first lady
they
got
ever-
somebody,
they
she
can-
got to watch
they
the
can feel-
dog, she got to. What do you say? I'm just talking for the people.
Okay.
You know how they
They
feel.
are entitled to feel what they feel. You can only do what you can afford to do. And if you can afford to do that, it's your money.
People, when they see that you're doing well and you wear what and live well, some people don't like that. You talk about, when you talk about what people don't like and things happening, you mentioned security, and we talked about entourage. And, I've been knowing them for a while, I'm friends with Lady Loretta, and you had an incident where you were attacked. I didn't believe it. As much security as the bishop got all around him, I could not believe that someone would actually attack you. And how are you doing with that? And can you explain what happened? Or, this is your opportunity to give your side.
Well, I think it bothers her a great deal to even talk about it. Now I've made sure that I've got one person around her who you better not come close, because I had to do something to fix that. And she's still insecure about it. She's nervous when someone comes close to her. But she has every right to be able to stand at a pulpit and talk to people. And then some of these people are literally deranged. And we have to deal with the mental health that is circling in our churches.
I've been knowing you, and I guess, if you don't mind, I feel a sense of quietness in you, and I'm just wondering, since this attack, if you feel like, how do you move forward?
The problem is, when you're in a church environment, you let your guards down, period. So now I got a gangster security man. And it's my job to protect her.
What do you mean by gangster?
That's why I don't pray with my eyes
You know
closed.
what gangster? You know what we talking about?
They alert.
Now, you understand gangster. You know gangster.
You know gangster.
Now you talk
If
about
anybody
gangster.
don't know gangster, you know gangster. You probably carrying your gat right now.
Are they
In
saying?
other words, I have a security group now.
Yeah. She looked like Medea, didn't she?
Can I say something? This is my wife. She asked about my wife.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Can you cool off a
I'm sorry,
little
she
bit,
wasn't
Reverend?
always your wife.
Yeah, she is now.
Okay.
All right,
Yes,
Reverend?
sir. Protect your wife.
Is it okay? I gotta protect my wife.
And speaking of protection, do you feel some sense of, I wouldn't say, maybe some sense of guilt or
I
something?
felt
that happened?
inadequate. I felt inadequate. I felt a sense of inadequacy. I say, and in Doc's word, I done waited this long to marry a woman, and then you have somebody clobber her.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I felt quite inadequate. And then you start dealing with the issues of forgiveness and your ability to forgive somebody who has done this kind of thing. And then you got to end up being Christ-like in a situation and then you expect her to reduce how she feels in a situation that is so anti who she is, because she would never do that to anyone. In this case was a case where this lady was known.
Wow. You had never had a woman come after you in your church.
I have women
Y'all
come
holding
after
some
me.
secrets. You've been
I have
in the
women
church
come after
too.
me all the time.
Talk to Dietrich, and they
You
know
know?
he's married.
All the time. But,
All the time,
Dominique
yeah.
don't play that. Throw hands and elbows. And the church know it.
Listen. Let me make a point. Let me make a point. Of the making of beautiful women, there is no end. We have to end it.
Wait, what's that mean?
That simply means no matter how old you are, no matter what your calling is, if you're in the public, somebody's gonna like you. But you have to end it. You have to say, I'm with her and I will be with nobody else.
That's good.
Because no matter where you look, no matter how old you get, beautiful women are coming every day from every age. And the older you get doesn't minimize the attention. Men hit on my wife in front of my face.
I'd slap him and say, that's my wife.
No.
The Bible says lay hands on the sick.
The Bible says.
He'll recover.
Okay. I'm gonna put you in time, and you've been violent. I'm gonna tell you why.
You mess with this,
Now he's
you're stepping on
quoting the
Mr.
Bible.
Gilmore's property.
He's quoting the Bible to be violent now.
Did you go through a metal detector before you came in here? Are you strapped right now? Did you go through the metal detector?
She's asked me, Bishop.
No, I
No
don't.
games.
Don't.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. It's not a game, but we live in America, okay? And we have an
Quote
amendment.
the Bible to the assailant.
Okay. I'll quote the Bible.
Quote
I'll
the Bible to the assailant.
I'll quote the Bible to the assailant.
Yeah.
In Luke 22:38.
Okay.
What chapter?
22:38.
Verse 38.
Yeah.
When Jesus was getting ready to leave the Garden of Gethsemane,
Yes.
he says, Peter, do you have your swords with you?
Yes.
Peter said, I have 2 of them.
Yes.
Jesus said, that's enough. Let's roll, big homie. And it's in Luke 22:38 to let you know you can carry a 22 and a 38.
So why
But I just carry a 9, though.
Coming up on Preacher's Reunion.
No, what she mean by we judging, Loretta? How am I judging?
If you were getting on a jet and you're going from, say, New York to LA, and there was only one first-class seat.
I can't sit up there like sardines. I want to give you some advice on
I don't
marriage.
need advice. That's ignorant.
Stop being fake and give us the real you. That's why preachers are public enemy #1 right now, because we being fake. Preachers!
Everybody wants heaven, but they're living like hell. Got the whole church judging you, hoping that you fail. How you gonna win the world if nobody wanna help? But it ain't easy trying to fight the devil yourself.